bit of Shedology. Can't always wait for a sunny day before taking pictures. This happens to be a dull, cloudy day where it has rained. Now, one interesting aspect of this is that what I had was a 10-foot square concrete base in front of a garage, and so what I constructed was a frame that would sit on that 10-foot square base. However, the roof timbers come in certain multiples of length, and so they're a bit longer than that. As you can see, there's one there that's quite a bit longer. And then I ordered some box profile sheeting. There were sheets long enough to cover the whole of the garage, and then some other sheets for the front which were 14 foot long. Something like that. Might be 16. Anyway, they're a bit longer, so I thought, well, why not have an overhang at the front? So this was intended to be the front of the shed with a garage door in it, and then there would be an overhang at the front under which I would park the trailer on end. Because I never got the garage door, I decided to extend it forwards by 2 feet, and for that I've used some flagstones. The result of that is that the ground here is higher than the ground inside. So underneath that gravel there is a drain pipe with holes in it and some sort of soakaway in the corner. What I didn't do was remove the concrete base of this post, that fence post. I kind of built up to the fence post, didn't take it out, left that in situ. And the only dampness inside is where we've not got the vapour barrier going down into the drainage gravel in this corner. So we've got some penetration in this corner inside, a bit of dampness appearing inside. I can show you that later. The bottom layer is masonry, so about 9 inches of masonry at the bottom there, covered with a visqueen layer. Anyway, so that's the front of the shed. Windows entirely based upon glass lying around the garden, and so at the time of cladding in this lap cladding were just put in. I'm not going to go down the side, there's enough pictures of down the side. This door was an offer from a friend who had a spare door in their garage. This here at the front there is a sliding door. I tend not to open that one because this one's just so easy to open. And similarly, those 2 windows were simply double glazed units, panes, that's single glazed. Double glazed units which were lying around in the garden or leaning against one of my other sheds, and I thought, let's put them in. They're all put in as high up as they can go to let light in and not obstruct the walls very much. So this is the concrete base down here, which, as I said before, was 10 foot square and ran as far as here. And there's the flags, and if we look down there we can see that mostly it's dry, and the only dampness, just looking for the torch, there's the torch. If that shows up, it's fairly dry. There's it's behind that plastic thing. A little bit of dampness in the corner. The other thing is, actually, there's a wall here between me and the pathway at the side, and it's just below path height at this point, but the path falls away so that the wall is above path height, and I've chosen to build on top of my garden boundary wall at that point. So there we go. Decided to clad it this side all the way around in this timber, and again, because of the size of the timbers, metal sheeting, decided to leave a bit of overlap here. Always find that overlap is useful, overhang that is, because it protects the walls a little bit, and anything resting against the shed is protected slightly. and also stops much of the rain from going in through the door. So it's there, you know, because of the size of the box profile sheeting. The pitch of this was slightly steeper than the pitch of the garage. I thought, why not? So I sheeted up the garage, single sheets all the way from front to back of the garage, replaced the garage roof, and then the sheets that were available for this, I just increased the pitch a little, but so that it would land on top of the garage roof there, and gave it a slightly greater pitch, which just gives you that bit of extra headroom at the front. And again, just a little design choice as I was going along. So that's it, a bit of Shedology. Where we are, this sliding door works very nicely now. I'll just show you the sliding door. So that's the sliding door gear, which is available from a few places. A fabricated door using 11mm ply, which is quite tough, reinforced at the bottom and reinforced at the top. A little bit tight in the rebate in there, so it's into there. A big solid thing along the bottom rather than cheap plastic guide that was provided for the bottom, which means that it's going to be hard to push the door in from at the bottom. And there, with the sliding door open, you've got really good access through that main corner into the shed for if you had any large items to bring in. They can just come straight in without obstruction or wiggling around corners. The bench has been trimmed to fit the door. This is what you do, isn't it? You tailor everything. So, and that moves nice and easily. And it provides you with a little bit of hanging space if you want, because the actual mechanism, yes, as I say, it's a bit tight in there because it's damp. What we've got is a roughly finished thing that needs to be treated, varnished or something, I think, to stop it swelling. But as better tight than loose, I think. But the door itself moves nicely closed like that, and has plenty of. The reason I don't open it is because it's secured in about 5 different places, so that the thing can't be moved no matter where you push it. So there we have it. That's the bit of Shedology. Built-in benches, shelving, lighting. The roof needs to be lined out. Still some things to do with it. And funny thing about floors, I'll say something about the floor. Carpet tiles generally are impervious. There's no membrane under here, so you have to be careful because it will attract moisture underneath. So far that's quite dry under there. Similarly in the garage, there's no membrane. The garage is much drier now. Shed's in place because you've got no moisture penetration through the front. You've got good metal roof above, but there's potential for a bit of dampness underneath the carpet tiles. So just beware that any impervious membrane you put on top of a concrete floor which hasn't got a damp-proof membrane is likely to trap in some sort of moisture. And it's better that the concrete is able to breathe and dry, and then it remains looking stone dry. There we go. I'm aware of that, which is why if you put normal carpet down it would just rot eventually. Just to think about the power, 5 double sockets on a ring main, fed from the house, and they are off a 20 amp fuse, off a consumer unit, 20 amp circuit breaker, complete with an RCD as well. So that's the circuit breaker, that's the RCD for tripping out the whole system, and it gives a number of ways on this small garage unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ways. The unit itself is quite cheap. The circuit breakers and RCD add to the price. So there we go, power to the shed through what I feel is something that provides it with a bit of safety and security, electrical wise. Lovely.